One topic, three voices, all equal, all heard, all valued. Welcome to the Dayton Dialogs. Today's guests are our brewers from Toxic, from Dayton Beer Company, and from Warpoint. And our discussion today, our mission is to understand the collaboration through competition. In our pre-chat, we conversated about the pride of the city, the process in which you took to get to this point with the work you do, with your companies, and also the plan, the different plans. So let's set the table here. Give us that process, give us that plan, give us that pride, and just tell us how we got to this point right now.
I guess the process is a long time in the making, but Dayton was right for breweries. It's still right for breweries. We've exploded here, and got lucky enough to, as three of us here, open up here in Dayton, which the community has been super supportive of, and I don't know, thirsty. Fortunately, very, very thirsty. So
we ended up in Dayton. The model of business that we were looking at, we felt like needed to be based in the metropolitan center. I'm sure the goal for all three of us is probably the same, which is to be the brewery for the Dayton region. And I don't know that you can do that if you're not in Dayton proper.
You spoke, you have to be in Dayton to be that brewery, and we started in Kettering. And, it was great, and it's still great with us being out there, but, there was always a draw to come downtown.
Although at its core, the three of us, we all do the same thing, make and sell beer. We do it in a different way. Each one of our models is unique in terms of how it executes from grain to glass in the customer's hand. And I think the thing that's interesting about that is that, Warped Wing is not for everybody, but between the three places, you can find a place most likely that's gonna fit who you feel you are or who you are on a given day, right? So it's worked out really well, I think, with the three of us because we have slightly different things.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's something that I don't think a lot of us, as we talk about the brewers in the city, I think we a lot of times think we lump you all into one big sum, right?
Yeah.
And that's the issue here, right? Our process is we think about you all as beer makers, that you all are all biting from the same pie. And the question becomes, to your point, Shane, you kept talking about that this city's got great pride for the beer, but there's something more to it. Like, what are those avenues in which you live in, which makes this process very different and your plans very different, which also allows you to survive, and I don't mean survive, but allows you to prosper in this city?
So half of our liquid that we brew, we pour out of our taps. That's the initial model, and we distribute beer to make people happy. People are asking like, man, are you upset that Warped Wing and Dayton Beer has cans now? They're in the stores, or I'm like, no, it's a different demographic that we don't see. Someone goes into Kroger, they might not know Toxic Brew even exists, but now they see a local can, and now they're like, wow, like local beer here in Dayton, do a search, and then they find like 10 or so. But each even business model is different in the amount of revenue created here, how's the marketing done. So it's kind of fun to see. I've learned a lot from sitting back and watching how other people do things and how other people do stuff.
I think what's unique is we all have our own different take on what to do and how to get there. So just because someone might be canning, someone might not be canning, or someone picks up sour beers and others don't. I mean, there's no right or wrong.
Right. Some have 100-barrel fermenters. So.
But then, okay, so like I guess obviously it seems like you guys have your own avenues. You're cut through this. We're starting to understand a little bit more about who you are individually as an organization. But then there's that whole generalization of we look at you all as brewers. You're all still vying for the dollar bill on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever you want to talk about it. So I gotta believe, at least from the average per consumer, that there's gotta be. Should I be giving my dollars to you equally? Should I not be giving my dollars to you equally? Is that a concern? Because I think, as you guys shrug, that's what's important to me, because I want to talk more about, I think for us as consumers and people who come to your establishments, there is a sense of, wow, okay, this could be an interesting disruption, but I don't know.
Well, look at it like this, right? I mean, yes, we're all brewers, but you're missing the bigger point when you're talking about, okay, hey, I'm going to go out on a Thursday, Friday night. It's not a problem for me that someone says, hey, I like Pete's place. Hey, I like Shane's place, right? And for them, if they like our place, right? Because I know that eventually they will make it back around to our place, right? So I want to give those guys our support, and hopefully, they'll give that same support back to us, and that starts to create some synergy between the three of us who are all within walking distance of each other, right? And it's perfectly fine with me if we got people walking around in a circle going to all three places. To me, that's a win across the board.
But isn't that also that you guys? That's exactly the different model, because that also permeates in your business model too, isn't it? I mean, how you all work together in this design is also kind of reflective of how you encourage your consumers to share your product too, because there is a sense from the brewer dynamic that a better toxic equals, for the most part, a better warp that equals a better DBC, correct?
Mm-hmm. We get people coming up here from Cincinnati now hitting all the breweries because we're known for our liquid now.
Yep.
And if someone's got issues with their brewing equipment or their process or their beer, yeah, we want that liquid to be better, because if that brewery looks bad, it looks bad on all of us.
But that's also, you all realize that, and we've talked about this, that's a unique model, right? I mean, we all understand that is not like big business doesn't typically work in that way.
No.
And I would like to talk about that, because that's the disruption we're talking about right now, is that's a model that if we can understand that, we can inherit it from you. We might be able to transfer that into the marketplace as a city as a whole. But I think there's something, I think we need to understand how that ecosystem works.
Well, you have to start off by not being greedy.
I think, when I go to Shane's place or when I go to Warped Wing and I have a kick-ass beer, my gears are turning in my head. I go, oh man, that's badass. How can I make a beer that's as good as that? So it's one of those things that we do compete per se.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, we're trying to get more people to drink the beer that we brew, whether it's your beer, or my beer.
Well, I think that's a huge thing, because in reality, we're sitting here thinking, I think that it goes back to also that you have a very interesting camaraderie between each other. Your guys are very comfortable with each other. You guys obviously have experience with each other.
We've been drinking.
You've been drinking. You completely
I've been loaded in both of these guys' places. They've been same.
And I think it's easier said than done sometimes to talk about what you guys work in a craft that has its own design. I think there's something very special about how you work within each other, especially knowing that you three are in walking path together and talking about making this better for the city.
If we can get together and we can build this wave, we have this hope of this infinite dream. I mean, we're all trying to take over the world, and you can't do that if you say, hey, we've got X amount of dollars and we have to divvy it up between us. Then it'll get cutthroat, it'll get nasty.
Yeah. Through trying to embrace the community that we find ourselves in, are we going to be able to really rise above and get onto something that's going to be cool and fun and dynamic and all the really great stuff that we all want? I mean, that's where it's at,
Are we there now? Are we getting there? Are we in the right space?
I think it's headed that direction. At the end of the day, I think we're all risk takers here. So, we saw something in Dayton that we hope other people can see. This city can be the most badass place around. It's there. People just need to see it and believe it. And, we see it and believe it. That's why we're doing what we're doing. So, there's no reason why we can't conquer the world.
Well, I thank you, all three of you, for being amazing trailblazers and establishing what it takes to overcome fear through this model. And a toast to all three of you for being here today and shedding some light on your process. So,
Cheers.
I'll drink to us. Cheers.
Thanks, everybody.
Perfect
out?
timing. I'm done.
right.
I'm out of beer. I'm done.
That's a wrap.
Well, thank you, everybody,
Look,
very
you still
much.
got 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Cut us short.
Oh, see, I have 5 minutes fast.
Chuck race.